I'm glad we're not.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting tonight. There's a lot of interest in some agenda items tonight, and it's a fairly long agenda. So before we call the meeting to order, first of all, thank you for coming. Second of all, those of you who wish to make comments, please raise your hand and then come forward when you're called upon. And please state your name for the record so that we have a concise recording and the ability to get your comments into the minutes. So if everybody's ready, call the Williams County Planning and Zoning Commission to order. Roll call, please.
Mark?
Here.
James?
Here.
Brett?
Here.
Eric?
Here.
Dan?
Here.
George? Barry?
Here.
Sherelle? Here. Tori?
We have a quorum. We will proceed. Disposition of the minutes. What are your wishes?
Motion approved. I'll second.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
James?
Yes.
George? Mark?
Yes.
Sherelle?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes, minutes are approved.
I'll say yes too.
Oh, sorry, Barry.
We didn't notice you over there, Barry. I'm sorry. Michelle, are you ready? Item number 1.
Okay, so the first item we have tonight is LU-0047-25. John Hoffman is requesting a conditional use permit to construct a go-kart track within the rural residential zoning district. This is located in Sublot 3, which is within the north half of the northwest of Section 14, Township 154 North, Range 102 West, being Judson Township. The township has recommended approval on this item. The applicant is requesting the conditional use permit to construct a small go-kart track for his daughter to safely drive her go-kart without being on the public roads. The subject property is approximately 15 acres and within that rural residential zoning district. The applicant had started construction on the go-kart track prior to applying, as he was unaware that a permit would be necessary. Once he was made aware of this, he did come in to fill out the application and pay the appropriate fees to work through the public hearing process. Access to the subject property is off of 52nd Street Northwest.
Here. Is the applicant here? Sorry. Is there anybody that wishes to speak to this issue? Public hearing is open. Does anybody have any comments from this item? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing and turn it over to the board.
Motion approved with staff comment.
And a second.
Second.
Further discussion.
I guess I have a question as why you would need our approval to have your kids run around on your own property. It just seems really overreach.
We did get a complaint on this item, which is why we told him it would probably be best to go through the public hearing process, just so any grievances could be heard.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Barry?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Sherelle?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes, motion carries.
Okay, so the second item we have tonight is LU-0048-25, which is Michelle Stewart on behalf of Amanda and Shannon Hurley. They're requesting a conditional use permit for a second dwelling within the rural residential zoning district. This is located on Sublot 1, which is within Farm Unit 207, located in Section 30, Township 153 North, Range 102 West, being Trenton Township. We have not received comment back from Trenton Township on this item. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to place an additional single-family residence on the subject property. Property is within the rural residential zoning district and is approximately 3 acres total. The applicant will be leasing a portion of the land to place a 76 by 30 manufactured home on the property. According to the applicant, the subject property does have 3 wells and 2 septic tanks on it. Access to the property will be taken off of 43rd Street Northwest.
Any questions for staff?
Michelle, with all these buildings, there's just one house there now?
There is only one house now, yes.
Any other questions for staff? I'll open the public hearing. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the applicant? Is the applicant here? Anything you'd like to add to this, to the discussion tonight? Okay. Any other public comment? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, what are your thoughts? What are your wishes?
Make a motion to approve following staff comments.
I'll second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
James,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries.
Okay, so the third one we have tonight is LU-0049-25. Andrew Pocus on behalf of Benjamin Roslin. They're requesting a zone change to the urban residential zoning district for 4 newly proposed lots. This is located in the south half of the northeast of Section 16, Township 157 North, Range 101 West, which is Blacktail Township. Blacktail Township is undecided on their recommendation for this, as one member is in favor, one is not in favor, and the third abstained as he is the owner of the property. The applicant is requesting a minor subdivision, which will create 5 lots. The parent parcel is approximately 78 acres and within the agricultural zoning district. The newly created lots will be approximately 1.52 acres, 2.36 acres, 2.46 acres, and 2.42 acres. The 5th lot will be the larger lot and will be the remainder of the parcel. The applicant is requesting the zone change to the urban residential zoning district for the 4 smaller lots that are being proposed. The purpose of this minor subdivision is to create smaller residential lots near Blacktail Lake. Minor subdivision draft plat is still being worked on by the surveyor, and once submitted, will have to go through the administrative review process with the appropriate county departments. Recordation of the draft plat will be contingent on the approval of the zone change. Access to the subject lots is taken off of Blacktail Drive.
Any questions for staff? Hearing none, I will open the public hearing. Any comments from the applicants?
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Board. My name is Andrew Pocus. I'm the applicant representing Benjamin Roslin in this. And what we're trying to do here, this as well as the next item on the agenda, is create this 4-acre, 4-lot subdivision, minor subdivision, and another 4-lot minor subdivision. Both of us being from the area our whole lives and being around Blacktail, really appreciate the place and think it a lot of it. Spent a lot of time, a lot of years there, and see all the great improvements that are being done out there right now. The county is building new boat ramps, new camping spots.
Andrew, would you pull that mic up a little closer
Yep.
to you, because we are recording this?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
The county is out there running some big projects, very great projects out there, where they're building new boat ramps, camping spots, doing a lot of improvements. We see it as an opportunity where the county's really wanting people to come to this area and really recreate here. And having the opportunity to own a piece of that for 8 individuals, 8 different families would be a wonderful opportunity, we feel. So we thank you for your consideration, and I'll sit down here for any questions. So
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Andrew before he sits down? Not at this time? Okay, anybody else wish to speak to this issue? Anyone else?
And I live out of Blacktail Dam full time. I just have a few concerns immediately. What came up was rural water. The amount of pressure we do have now is just minimum. And rural water will have a bigger demand once the park is opened up again for camping, because there'll be 56 sites all with water, sewer, showers, bathrooms, additional compared to what we had before. So I worry about that. I also worry about the road. The road conditions out there are always beat down all the time. And we add 8 more full-time homes out there. We need some road work. We need it constant, or we need a road paved. I just stress on the wear and tear of the road a lot, because I see it, I drive it. We have UPS trucks, FedEx trucks get stuck all the time on that road. It's not even winter. So we need to pay attention to that. Water is going to be real important because we have it now. And I don't know if we have enough. I don't know. I haven't gotten the answers. When Mr. Pocus addressed the Blacktail Dam governing board, he just said he talked to rural water. Is there really someone who's putting it down, penning it, and figuring it out? And I want to make that point. That's all I have. Thank you.
Hang on a minute, Brad. Any questions for Brad? Brad, with the redoing of the campground or the camping spots, how many spots were there in the past?
We're basically having the same or slightly less, but they were never full-time water.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Andrew.
So I had spoken to the director of Western Area Water Supply. They said that they had run extensive plans in the area for the expansion of this, and we can get a letter from them, but they stated that there would be no issue with water capacity, as the pump station is on Ben's, or on the property right on the highway. So it's just to the south of here. The pipeline comes in and there's a pump station there. So just to address that concern.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak to this issue?
I'm Michael Stair. I live at Blacktail in the summertime, and I think my biggest concern would be, first off, if we start subdividing different parcels now, is that going to keep happening? Is it going to keep growing into a town? Because most of the people out of Blacktail like the fact that it's kind of quiet and not too busy. I mean, yeah, the road is crappy, like Brad said. A lot of the time it's not the best. And so that's just going to bring in more traffic. But how big is it going to get before we don't want to? The lake is all the new camping spots. Everybody's going to want to come out there. The lake's kind of small. And it was kind of nice to have the kids out there, could do what they wanted and canoe or raft and do what they wanted. Pretty soon you got jet boats out there. everything getting crazy until you can't hardly enjoy it because there's so many outside people coming. So I guess my concern is how big is it gonna get before we have not a little Blacktail Dam anymore and we have something else.
Any questions for Michael? Michael, who owns the road? Whose road is it around Blacktail?
Well, I'm not too sure on that. It's kind of a gray area. Like it used to be, well, the association maybe. I mean, back in the day, Leroy Lutz took care of everything, and
For $19,000 a year.
right. I I don't. I mean, when I came, I get a building permit to do something out there, and they didn't really the road around the lake isn't a county road.
There's a,
So is it?
there's an road easement in the packet there that you got. It's Mr. Rosland and his wife, they evidently in 97, they signed an easement with the county for a public roadway.
Okay, Barry, then,
Because all of the roads coming like into the cabins off of Blacktail Drive, they're all private roads, and I don't know if we're supposed to take care of them, or I guess we just kind of do. But the main road around, I don't. The county was taking care of it for us.
was or still is?
I believe they still are. I mean, they grade it.
Thank you, Michael.
You bet.
Kelly?
Hi, I'm Kelly Everson, and I'm not for that, but I asked Drew Pocus, if you do get approval, are you gonna build roads up to county specs so you can get the water put in for the lots, the power put in? He says, no, we're just gonna sell the land, and whoever buys the land is gonna be their responsibility to build these roads and get their own water and power in. And, to me, it's kind of a barroom napkin planning that they're not gonna have any skin in the game. They're just gonna sell the land and make the money and not have any money invested in it, in doing this thing and that. But if they, on both spots, about the only place for them, unless they push the snow out in their yard, about the only place for them to push the snow in the wintertime is gonna be out in the county park board right away to get rid of their snow. 'Cause, like I say, their only other option is push it up in their small yards that they're gonna have. So, I'm totally against this whole thing for, the two reasons: they're not really providing any good service out there, and the Blacktail Dam Association contributes money to the park board. Even though we pay good taxes, we're still contributing money every year to help maintain the roads.
Okay. Any comments or any questions for Kelly? Thank you, Kelly. Please.
In the meeting I had with Kelly, what I had stated was on one of the plans, we have a road to build in a cul-de-sac that would get built as the lots get sold. The other subdivision, it's just driveways onto the property. There's no road to build there at all. So, and also with the snow removal, these are pretty large lots, actually. I mean, they're a lot bigger than most lots out there, so they would have ample space for their own snow removal and placement. They're between 1.5 acres and 2.5 acres, so they're pretty big. So I think they would be able to accommodate that. So thanks.
Drew, you talked about the snow removal, so you got a cul-de-sac in there. What happens with all the snow that's in this cul-de-sac? I mean, who takes care of that, or what's gonna happen? I mean, I realize we run into this all the time. Farmers know how to take care of themselves. but you sell this to a doctor, lawyer, and accountant that don't have big tractors, don't have plows, and now you've got a major cul-de-sac and a road coming in. How are you planning on working that out, or, what are you gonna do with all that stuff?
Thanks, Mark. I'm glad you asked. So what we plan on doing is putting together, either becoming part of a Blacktail association if they'd have us, or we would put together our own association that would govern this. And that would have covenants in it in order to state what you can build, what you can have on your property, what you cannot have on your property, and we would govern that. Quite frankly, I want one of the lots and Ben wants one of the lots. We really want this to be nice. As far as the snow removal, we would have to take collections about the people in that 4-lot subdivision would have taken collections and remove that snow. So that's how we would plan to do it, is develop covenants to control what they build, where they build it, what's left out there, and then charge for services that are community type services and assess to the people that receive the benefit of those services.
Any other questions? Drew, before you walk away, do you have a timeline that you're operating on? What are you thinking for someone buying a lot and breaking ground up there? Are you thinking this fall, next summer sometime, the year after?
If it was to come to approval, I may look at something this fall, but I think the majority of anything that would happen would be in the spring.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Please come forward.
Hi, thanks for listening to my concerns. I'm Charlie Soto. I live out at Blacktail Dam full-time. My only concerns really is that it's a very small lake, and with all the improvements they're doing out there, and everybody should be able to enjoy it for sure, and doing stuff with your own land, if you want to make money off your land, that's fine too. But my concerns are really is addressing the traffic out there for such a small lake, and the increased people out there. It's just gonna, I think, overflood the lake, because you're not just talking about 8 new homes, you're talking about their friends, their families, everybody else coming out there. And as it is now, on the weekends, it really gets flooded out. And I'm just concerned about safety when it's such a small lake and you have these high-speed boats going through there, and they go through the no-wake zones all the time. I live on the no-wake zone. I see it all the time, visitors coming in. I'm just worried about safety. I think you're going to start having a lot of accidents out there, and forbid any deaths. I think you could take that into consideration too, as far as safety goes, and the conservation out there, a state that takes so much pride in their conservation. There's a lot of wildlife out there, a lot. I see moose, I see deer all the time. You can name what's out there. So I think that would be a problem too, as far as safety going. Hate to see any accidents. Just thanks for listening to my concerns.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else?
Hello, my name is Mike Smith. I live out of Blacktail year-round. Pretty much everything everybody has said so far is true. And I think the roads that we have right now are overtaxed to begin with. By overtaxed, I mean that in 2 ways, but it'd just get worse, okay? And then
Excuse me, we all feel overtaxed.
yeah, but I mean, if these get approved, there's more land around Blacktail, and there's going to be more people wanting to do that. There'll be more approved. If you approve one, you got to approve them all, right? I know a number of years ago when Greg Zavalny was on the county park board, the park board said there will be no more lots at Blacktail, but that was on county park board property. But there was a reason for that. That lake is at its capacity plus right now for what it can handle. Matter of fact, on the weekends, I pretty much stay home. I go out and play on the lake during the week sometimes. That's, I mean, just because it does get overcrowded. And to answer the question, I guess, on the roads, who owns them? The county park board actually owns the road, Blacktail Drive. So it's, I don't know what to do with it. I mean, it gets beat up, but it's still a nice place to live. And the more you keep adding to it, it's gonna turn it into a not such a nice place to live. The water pressure is a big deal. We have limited water pressure right now. I don't know if anybody else notices that, but I guess I agree that we don't need any more out there. It's really not a good idea.
Any questions for Mike? The water issue is significant, Mike. We are about 9 miles south of Blacktail. And in the springtime, we have 7, 8 gallons a minute. By the time that Blacktail starts firing up, we're down to 3 and 4.
Yeah. So it's an issue.
Yep. One other comment, Mike. You brought up the restricted covenant when the original lots were sold to the people who were renting them back in 96, 97. And you are correct. Fish and Game does have a covenant in the agreement that there would be no further development of lots in the park in what the county owned there. Beyond that, there's no mention of anything else.
No, they don't control anything.
No,
else.
they can only control what they were
Right.
what
But
they
there
were
was a
deeding
reason
to the
for
county.
that.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
And this is the reason. Thanks.
Anyone else? Please.
Hi, I'm Jen Holman, and I guess I just want to parent everybody else. Like, I think what the park board is doing and bringing in the new camping and stuff, and their proposed plans are wonderful, and it is going to bring more people. It is going to bring more boats. It's going to bring a lot more activity to the dam, which is at capacity. There are times during the weekend we don't go on the water. There's already a lot of activity on that water. Adding additional lots brings more people, brings more boats, brings more jet skis, brings more. And I do agree with the gentleman that just spoke. At what point do we say enough lots is enough lots? If this passes and the next person who decides, I want some more, I want lots too, at what point do we say that the dam cannot handle any more activity on it for safety? We all have kids. We all have kids out there, and they're not safe a lot of weekends already because we're at capacity. There's too much activity. And so I strongly oppose this.
Any questions for Jan? Thank you. Anyone else?
I apologize. One more item. I wanted to bring up fire department, lack of. Right now, our fire department comes out of Alamo. We have no fire trucks, no facilities of any kind, no fire hydrants, nothing out there to utilize. So we are rural fire department, but it comes out of Alamo, which happens to be probably the farthest of any group that can show up. And adding 8 full-time homes to what we already have is just going to run that up even higher risks. And I would like to address that at some point here with the county, that we need to consider either changing our district if this happens, or setting up a rural fire department out there, because it's it's already at a high risk as it is now. I just want to make that point.
Brad, what happened to the Blacktail Fire Department?
Alamo had left a couple trucks there, and they were supposed to be maintained by an individual, from what I understand, and they were not maintained by that individual, or they just aged out, or both.
Or everybody got old?
Yeah, that's probably part of it.
Brad, who sets up the fire districts? The state or who does it?
All I know is you can apply for a different district for a cause. I don't know. I was just told that that can be done. I was assuming it was the county.
So, that's what I was gonna ask you. Would it be the association has to apply, or does the county apply on behalf of them, or how?
Or is it the township?
I just wonder if it's townships that are
I-
districts or how they split them up.
I don't know. I was wondering myself. We should probably look into that.
Maybe we should check into that, Brad.
The fastest. I mean, my son is on the Williston City Fire Department, and he looked into just distances and so on. And actually, Williston is the closest and fastest as far as road wise, the best roads. More volunteers going out that way than either Grenora or Alamo. But that's all the farther I went with it.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Please come forward.
Hi, my name is Doug Daniels, and I've been at Blacktail since 1966. So I've seen a lot of changes out there, and I've watched it grow and grow and grow and grow, and I think it's time to stop. Like I'll mirror everything else everybody else has said. It's full. I mean, and where do you stop if you allow this to happen? Is there going to want to be more and more and more? And I just think it's time to quit. We're full. I've seen a lot of changes in 60 years, and some good and some not so good. But I think it's time to quit. I think it's enough.
Thank you, Doug. Any questions for Doug? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Please come forward. We have a overabundance of politeness tonight. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Dino Vass, and I've been up at Blacktail, part-time for a couple of years, and hopefully eventually this should be up there full-time. Been in the real estate business all my life, so I understand a lot of the concerns on both sides. I don't know much about the water issue, but as far as being up there and enjoying the lake and everything else, I think that's what the vision the county had too, as far as making the $10, $12 million improvements to Blacktail. And they just didn't do it for the residents that are there now, or the people that are now, but they're trying to draw more and more people to the lake. The times I've been up there, it hasn't been too overwhelming at the lake, but just recently, if we could eliminate like a yellow jet boat that's terrorizing the lake, might help.
Do you have the numbers?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. It went too fast. It's extremely loud, extremely fast, and extremely irresponsible to be out there. But aside from that, it seems to me that what Williams County has created, the lake out there is a great benefit to everybody, especially the surrounding neighbors. And while I'm not opposed to seeing the new subdivision built with a few extra houses, I think if the covenants were correct, and I'd much rather have a couple houses around me that are being built, that are stick-built houses, that are not single wides, compared to the weekend redneck that comes out there with a camper, 3 dogs, 6 kids and 4-wheelers and driving all over the place, terrorizing the campsites and just going through and disrespecting all the roads and the trails that have been created there. So I, as a resident up there, I would not be opposed to the development, but I'm sure there should be some covenants to see exactly how it's going to be built, size-wise, and who's going to take care of the house and take care of the roads, as well as the as well as the water concern that people have. So, thank you.
Any questions for Dino? Dino, I wish you could have seen Blacktail before the lots became privately owned, because that was a great leap forward when the county made those available for sale. That really helped to clean up Blacktail.
Great.
Thanks for coming up. Anyone else?
My name's Greg Zavolny. Been at Blacktail for 59 or 60 years. Grew up there with my family. And I was president of the Blacktail Association for a few years, and then onto the governing board for many years. And from that, I went to Williams County Park Board. I was reappointed for 24 years. So I've seen all the changes up there, what's happened, what hasn't happened, maybe what should have happened, what didn't happen. But I don't see the president of the Blacktail Association or who is supposed to represent Blacktail tonight. So I guess I'm going to answer some questions if you have them. What the new applicants aren't seeing is the rules, regulations, the meetings that the association has had, the arguments, the burger feed afterwards, trying to get along with your neighbors, one that does this, one that does completely opposite. You got big homes, you got little homes, everything in between. And when we put a plan together, the commission and the park board started this in 1994 to develop a plan to sell the lots up there because they were tired of being in the rental business. Williams County owned every lot up there and rented them out for, I think it started at $25 a year. Then it went to 50 and 100. And at every meeting, we had a house full of people like this answering everyone's questions. I went on the park board, I think, in 96. And we had a whole room full of people with concerns about their lot, their neighbor. We had to be the problem solver for everybody. And you talk a pain in the butt. That was. So when we finally got the plan together, there was a committee from the Blacktail Association. There was a committee from the park board. And they had to bring all that back to the park board and the commissioners. It had to go through the local water board. It had to go to the state water board. It had to go to the local game and fish. It had to go to the game and fish department in Bismarck, which takes years to make decisions on things. And during this whole time, the Blacktail Association is the one that worked on this, put it all together. And it's still a strong association that worked together to pick up trash, have cleanup days, clean up garbage in the lake, on the dam. That's what the Blacktail Association does. When there was years when there was no park board employees to speak of, the association members either volunteered or work for minimal wage for the park board to keep the park up. The things like the shower house, bathhouse, playground equipment, the golf course, most all of that stuff was donations from Blacktail people, volunteers. Dave Farrell and the Farrell family, there was 4 of them. They spent years building that golf course. It wasn't the park board that built it. It was the residents out there that built it. And everything basically that's out there has been built by that association. So they're strong that way. And now the park board, back when all that took place, the park board didn't have any money. When I went on the park board, my budget for 5 parks was $44,000. Right now, 1 employee gets paid that more than that. You know, right now, there's almost an unlimited budget. It's great that they're rebuilding all the parks. There's no problem with that. But Blacktail is its own unique little piece of ground. It's a 560-acre lake that is overpopulated. When we signed the agreement, we had to sign an agreement with the Game and Fish Department before they would sign off on their easement land for us to purchase the lots. And that stated that there will be no further development at Blacktail Dam due to overcrowding. Okay? Due to overcrowding. That was 29 years ago. Now, we've got the park board doing a complete remodel, and when you got nice campsites with water and power and sewer, it's gonna be full every weekend. So you got about 60 sites out there probably coming in. Well, that's 60 campers. That's times a whole family and sometimes 2, and 2 jet skis and a boat and a pontoon and some 4-wheelers. What do you think is going to happen out there? The other thing I want to bring up is what most people don't know. For all the years that I was on the board, I worked with the State Water Board and read all the reports that they do on the dams. The DAM has to have annual maintenance on it. And the State Water Commission does that. And when that came out quite a few years back, the dam at Blacktail is a high-risk dam. It's been leaking for years. You can drive right down the backside of it and you see the soft spots in the road and the water in the ditch. And the Game and Fish more than likely will not rebuild that dam if it fails. They don't have the money, nor do they even want the dam. They offered the park board the dam at one point. And I said, yeah, we'll take it. Dan was in the same meeting. He said, whoa, 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 wait a minute. We don't want that dam. Well, neither does the Game and Fish. It's a huge liability to them. If that fails, there's a, Williams County Emergency Services has a disaster plan if that dam fails, because everybody below it is going to get washed out. And if you put homes on the backside of that dam in any general area, it all depends where it washes out, you're going to wash everything away. Everybody's been watching the Texas news, everybody getting killed down there from high water. That could certainly happen. When the oil boom started, the oil companies were coming in and they were staking oil wells all the way around Blacktail. Well, our board talked about it. It brought it to me. So I started working with the state and local and went all the way to Lynn Helms, where I didn't think I'd ever be on a phone call basis with Lynn Helms, but when he called me one day and he said, I'm from up in that country, and I respect that your lake doesn't want to be surrounded by oil wells. I said, you're absolutely right. He said, well, I'm going to make it so it's not. He said, there's no reason they need to put those wells around the lake. We're doing horizontal drilling. They can go out 2 miles and drill back that way from either direction. And that's what they did. You drive up to Blacktail and look, there's no wells basically within 2 miles of Blacktail. You go down to Lewis and Clark, they couldn't even get it stopped. They have wells right behind the campground at Lewis and Clark. So all these years being on those boards, we tried to maintain the wishes of the Game and Fish. When they say they don't want any more population or traffic on that lake 29 years ago, it's worse today. You got wakeboard boats, you got faster jet skis, you got more people. I have nothing against these guys wanting to build houses in the country, not at all. But that little lake can't sustain a whole bunch of more people. And 8 turns into 16 and 24 and 36. And how do you stop it at that point? I think there needs to be a whole lot more discussion and digging into this a little deeper before anything is approved.
Any questions for Greg?
How many lots are out there now, do you know?
We started out with 136, and when John Valley was the president of the association, we went through this. And he went through with his board, and there were some lots that were back in the swamp and the sloughs that didn't even have water access. So there was about 6 eliminated from there. I think now there's right around 130. And that's a lot of lots on a little 500-acre lake.
Any other questions for Greg?
Has the Game and Fish made any more comments since they released that back in, you say 94?
Yes. Oh, yeah, they
What
have.
has their feedback been with all the increased activity since that time?
They're not a fan, but that was their wishes for the Williams County Park Board and the Blacktail Association. If it's on privately owned land behind that, they can't necessarily put their fingers into it. But those of us that have been up there for our whole life or close to it have been in the meetings with them and the Blacktail Association to get that driven into your head and your mind what their wishes are.
Thank you.
So before this board makes a major decision like that, I think there's a lot more stuff that and more people to talk to about it there's a lot of Blacktail people here that aren't saying anything. They're just here to see what happens. But if they don't speak up or say something or show up at this meeting, they're going to get overwhelmed and they're going to be the first ones that are mad about it.
Any other questions?
Well, I think I've not been up there for quite a while, but I believe there was a housing, or not a development, but an individual built a house to the north side of the dam. And I was just curious as if there was that much opposition to that. I mean, I'm getting back to that. This is personal property rights. He owns that land. He's if he doesn't break any laws or regulations, you should be able to do what you want with what you own. That's a cornerstone.
But that road is owned by Williams County Parks.
Yeah, it's a
It's
public road around a
Yeah.
public campground.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all paid with taxpayer dollars. You can't, you don't get to use it and I don't, right? I mean, that's not how that is.
Barry, I could be wrong, but I think to answer your question, wasn't that house put in under the ag exemption where we don't have a say in that? He probably had over 40.
Yeah, it was not subdivided. That's why it never came in front of the board. Those are all done administrative through our office. And anything, I mean, if he does have like, say it's egg owned property and it's 40 acres, if he wanted to build a second home, he absolutely could. That's within our regulations.
So correct me if I'm wrong, every 40 acres, they can build a house on ag land, right?
They could build 2 homes without any approval from anyone except for administrative through the building division.
Greg, the home in question that was just brought up, at one time, didn't that same family own the entire north shore of the dam?
Yes. The north side to the west is owned by the Gunlickson family. Julian had control of that when the lots were sold, and he sold that land to the Williams County Park Board.
Thank you. Any other questions for Greg? Anything further?
Nope, thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Anyone else? Anyone else? Third and final time on this hearing. We'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, questions, thoughts, wishes?
Just have a comment. If you can do whatever you want on private land and no one can tell you what to do, this board would be kind of superfluous, wouldn't it?
If I could pronounce it, I would agree. As I've said before in these meetings, your freedom ends where Mark's begins. And that's really the basis of planning and zoning.
It is, and we've looked for, well, Dan included, but, you know, during the boom, we've looked for, you know, that line in the sand, you know, like where do you draw the line? And one day I told Dan, I said, I found it. It's right in the atlas. It's the property line. If this is mine, that's yours. I won't do, I can't do anything on your property, but I get to do what I want on mine. And that's, it's personal property rights. If you take that away, you just give up, because then there ain't nothing else to worry about.
I guess I kind of agree with you on the personal property as long as you do it for your personal. But if you do it for a development gain, then to me it's a business adventure where you're going another step into it, Barry.
Well, that maybe, I could agree sort of with that. But so if me and you were neighbors and I wanted to do this, I wanted to capitalize on my investment, and you didn't like it, you could buy them lots from me and then just sit on them. You know, I mean, there's nothing that says that, you know, whoever buys them has to build on it.
And I agree with you on that.
Any other comments?
I just got a couple questions for Mr. Polkus. So say if this was approved, is this the end of it? Or if these 8 sellers are gonna be another 8 and then another 12 and another, because that's my problem is 8 is it gonna make a huge impact? Probably not. It's 8 campers coming in. But the problem is when we approve these 8 lots, we open the door for that whole area up there. I mean, from now on, anyone comes in, it's pretty hard for us to not approve another subdivision. And there's a lot of acres all the way around that place. So for your group, if these were approved, that's it or not?
That's it for me. If Ben Roslin decides to sell the land and someone tries to develop it after that, that would be a whole other thing. But it would have to go in front of the board. It would go in front of the same board with the same decisions, but I can't speak for him. And the other private landowners around, I can't speak for them either. I understand the concern. One thing I will point out is the Blacktail area has gotten a lot busier. It's gotten a lot busier because the population of the entire Williams County has gone up. And that has to do with the amount of recreation around Williams County. So if people build houses right here, they're going to go to Blacktail, but people build a house, right outside of Wilson, they might go to Blacktail too. People build town, they could. I'm just saying the general pressure on the entire lake is a population deal as well. I can't answer your question about further development around the lake with the private landowners around it. So I'm sorry.
Any other questions?
I guess the next one's a Michelle question. I guess we all know restrictive covenants are a joke. I mean, they're not
Yeah, no.
enforceable, we can't do it. So does a developer's agreement work better than covenants?
We do have a stipulation on this that they would need to do a development agreement. So, and that is with the county. I would say it's more binding, but we haven't really gotten into the logistics of having to really enforce them either, that I've been a part of.
Well, who approves the developer's agreement? Should that have been in this for us to approve, or who approves the development agreement?
Well, it gets drafted and then normally Karen will look over it and give her legal opinion. It goes back and forth a little bit for fine tuning, and then it goes in front of the board to be approved. Like the county commission, because they're the ones who sign it on behalf of the county.
Other questions? Do you remember the last time that we approved a development with the cul-de-sac in it?
Steve Mortensen, last month.
Obviously, no one on this board pushes the snow in that area.
I don't know. It may have been 2 months ago, but Steve Mortensen, he's doing the 5 acres or the 5 parcels, that 4 of them are 10 acres, and it has a cul-de-sac. And it went through just fine.
I don't know who else in the room ever runs a snowplow, but my wore out one is sitting up at Blacktail. But cul-de-sacs are just incredibly difficult to maintain and to push the snow off of. Because no matter where you push it, someone's unhappy with you.
I've heard roundabouts are just as bad.
You don't see many of those out near Blacktail.
Wayne, is there a stipulation on how big the cul-de-sac has to be, or do you go through the plans and approve all that?
Yeah, so just so it's heard on the microphone, it's 100 feet diameter, and then inside with the gravel, 80 feet, right?
Thanks, Wayne. Any other comments, any other questions? Commissioners, how do you wish to proceed?
I would make a motion to approve following staff comments.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
I guess I'll repeat it, is we just gotta think, if we approve this, there's hundreds of acres up there that when the next one comes in, how do you not approve it? That's my biggest fear.
Then the houses around it won't be even worth going out there.
Public hearing's closed.
Thank you for your comments, sir, but the public hearing is closed. If someone wanted to ask you a question, one of the commission members could ask you a question. But that's as far as we can go under Robert's rules. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Mark,
No.
Sherelle,
No.
Eric,
No.
Brett,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
No.
Dan.
Are you down to me?
Yep.
No. Motion fails. Does someone wish to make a different motion?
I'll make a motion to deny.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
No.
Barry,
No.
James,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes. Motion carries. Before we go to the next item, can we take a 2 or 3 minute break? I just need to get a drink of water and get this cough out of my throat. I apologize. Michelle, please proceed.
Okay. So this next one we have is LU-005025. Again, Andrew Pocus on behalf of Benjamin Rosland requesting a zone change to the urban residential zoning district for four newly proposed lots. This particular one is in the east half of the southeast, northwest southeast, and northeast southwest of Section 10, being Township 157 North, Range 101 West, again, Blacktail Township. They did have their undecided recommendation just like the previous one. This particular minor subdivision would create 5 lots like the previous. Parent parcel on this one also is approximately 78 acres and within the agricultural zoning district. The newly created lots will be 2.47 acres, 3.22 acres, 2.41 acres, 2.51 acres, and then the larger lot will be the remainder of the parcel, which would remain in that agricultural zoning district. The applicant is requesting the zone change to urban residential zoning district for the 4 smaller lots that are being proposed. Purpose of this minor subdivision is to create smaller residential lots near Blacktail Lake. Minor subdivision plat is still being worked on by the surveyor, and once submitted, will have to go through the administrative review process with the appropriate county departments. Recordation of this draft plat will be contingent on the approval of the zone change. Access to the subject lots will be taken through a private access road off Blacktail Drive.
Any questions for Michelle before we open the public hearing? Hearing none, I will open the public hearing. Any comments? Same rules apply. Any comments? Anybody wish to speak to this issue? One more time, second time. Any comments or questions? Third and final time. Mr. Zavalny.
Well, it's kind of a ditto of the last one. I mean, are you looking for more information or um f- it's
It is a public hearing, Greg. We're required to have it, as you know.
okay. So I think as far as the blacktail people, their concerns are the same on the second one as the first one. So I think the first one's fresh in everybody's mind, so I'm assuming that's kind of what the
Lean into the mic, would you, Greg? I'm getting
So-
the sign from the back of the room.
yeah. So I mean, my feelings are the same for both of them, as I'm sure everybody else is, unless you want everybody else to come back up again. So
Greg, we could have tied them together, but being as they're numbered separately, I thought it was best to just take them one at a time, so that make sure that we have a fair hearing. Okay?
and this one here is in more failure of the dam issues than the first one was, but this is the one directly behind the dam. So keep that in mind.
Anyone else? Mike, please state your name again for the record when you come forward.
Mike Smith. I live at Blacktail Dam still. One thing I wanted to point out is, one thing you brought up, you said what I'll do with my property, what I want, you do with your property, what you want. If that was the case, we don't need you guys. This is subdividing. That other house that was built out there was on agricultural. It's a whole different ballgame. So, yeah, it's not the same. It's not you do what you want, I'll do what I want, because I live at Blacktail. There's rules I have to follow. So, I still oppose it.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? Second time. Third and final time. I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, how do you wish to proceed?
Well, in the sake for consistency, I would make the motion to approve following staff comments as before.
And a second. Is there a second? Third and final time. Motion fails for lack of a second.
I make a motion to deny the request.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
Further discussion. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Barry,
No.
James,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, everybody, for coming in tonight. And we're on to number 5.
Okay, number 5, we have LU-0052-25, Ed Rintamaki on behalf of Lakeview Developments LLC. They're requesting a zone change to urban commercial for a newly proposed approximately 2.83 acre lot. This is currently located in MS 15-0024 and MS 15-0025 in the east half of the northwest of Section 19, Township 153 North, Range 102 West, which is Trenton Township. We have not received comment back from the township on this item. The applicant is requesting a re-subdivision, which will create 3-lot minor subdivision. The parent parcels are approximately 70 acres total and within both the urban residential and urban commercial zoning districts. The newly created lots will be approximately 4.57 acres, 2.83 acres, and 65.43 acres. The larger 65.43 acre lot will remain in the urban residential zoning district, and the 4.57 acre lot is to remain in the urban commercial zoning district. The applicant is requesting a zone change to the urban commercial zoning district for a proposed 2.83 acre parcel. Purpose of this minor subdivision is to create a parcel for a future convenience store. Access to the property is taken off of North Dakota Highway 1804. The minor subdivision is going through the review process, and its recordation will be contingent on the approval of the zone change. The lots will be known as MS 25-0031, 0032, and 0033.
Thank you, Michelle. Any questions for Michelle?
Michelle, is Trenton an unorganized city or not a city or?
A village, I guess.
So that's why everything comes to us instead of city ordinance?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
City of Williston hasn't annexed it yet.
It's really a classification called village?
And life is good there.
Why isn't Black Hill a village? Why is it?
Wayne,
Run their own stuff. So what are you gaining?
You could incorporate and they could be a city.
but Wayne Crow is actually the expert on this. He has all the answers.
I think that incorporation thing gets brought up at just about every park board meeting. Yeah, there's a.
Okay, we're going to open the public hearing. Anybody wish to comment on this? Ed, do you have any comments? Is there a convenience store in Trenton right at this time?
Yep.
Interesting. But if you think about competition's a wonderful thing, but if you think about the development that's going to go on down there in the next couple of years, it's going to look considerably different down there.
So
Anybody wish?
It's sitting right next to commercial right now, right?
Right. So the purple is light industrial that you see up on that screen, and that is where the Lakeview Development mini storage went in just this last fall. And then there is urban commercial there for future retail or things like that. I know there's been talks of things. It hasn't been finalized. And then this is location that they're thinking for the convenience store, and then they would come back in at some point for some type of housing development to help out in the area as well with the urban residential portion.
Thank you. Sorry, I forgot the hearing was going on. So.
Anybody else? Please come forward, sir.
My name is Jared Reed, and I'm with Lakeview Development. And I want to say to you guys what the county has been doing in terms of advancing development, additions like Lindsay Harriman as a liaison between people like us and you guys. It's all positive. It's all good. And we greatly appreciate the efforts that the county is making in the state to forward conversations and get things done that, ahead of, as you pointed out, the development and the businesses that are coming in on that corridor. But I thought, with the questions you had, I might just kind of clear up,
Please do.
some of the backstory and kind of where we are with Lakeview Development today. And by the way, she mentioned the mini storage. It's actually a boat RV storage facility. We have units that are 45 feet deep, and we have a unit that's 30 feet deep with electricity, so you can park your boat and your RVs inside. We have outside parking with electrical. We'll have, we're gonna have water, potable water and rinse water. So we're really trying to create more of a lifestyle type storage facility. And a part of the reason we wanted to do this is because when we get to the subdivision, we don't want people parking their boats and their RVs in their subdivision. So we thought this would be a nice amenity to have to help, the people who live there, because everybody in North Dakota has a boat or an RV. As a matter of fact, there are 38,000 people in the county. There are 4,000 boats registered in Williams County. So it's RV boat instead of mini. And then the parcel that we're discussing, so originally that was going to be a part of our subdivision, and that was going to be where our post office was. We were going to have a little clubhouse, and that's not going to happen anymore. And so with Saralon coming in and all the development, we felt like that, a convenience store would be a great amenity because you're 13 miles either way from, anything decent. And we are partnering with Will Berry, who owns Cartwright, or owns Yellowstone Station in Cartwright, and this is going to be his second location.
Any questions for the gentleman?
I have a question. Why is the lot shaped so oddly?
The backside of it was where we originally had cut the roads in for the subdivision. So I think that's we wanted to try to maintain as much of that part of the parcel for housing at some point. And the reason that it's deeper like that is because when trucks pull in, we want them to come across the front and then come back around and make a U to get back out. So it's a little deeper because we want that ingress and egress for the larger trucks. Yes, sir. Yeah, we have the 60 acres that go up the hill, and we're waiting on water. I mean, that's been the hold up down there for a while now. So, yeah. Drinking water.
We interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Any other questions? Enough of the sidebar. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming up. Anybody else wish to speak to this issue? Any other questions? Any other comments? Third and final time. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Turn it over to the board. What are your wishes?
And motion to approve with staff comments.
A second.
Further discussion? Just for the sake of conversation, what is the status of rural water down there? What is the supply like down there?
Presently, no one can get water. But Northwest Rural Water is bringing water into Trenton, and we have joined Northwest Rural Water. We've put our deposit down for our service, and that line is supposed to be coming through, and I believe going all the way to Buford. And they should be starting construction next year. And so our goal was to try to line up when Saralon breaks ground and they've got construction and needs for food and gas and all that stuff. So we're trying to match that demand coming into the area.
But Trenton is on the Trenton's own water system?
Trenton has Trenton water users, yes, and they are at capacity. And they actually, it's a unique situation. They get water from Williston, and it has been going on forever. And there was a big lawsuit, and there's a lot of politics going on down there. But it's stifling an area which I think is probably one of the most dynamic places in the county right now with regards to future growth and industry, and moving away from even the exploration part of the oil and gas business into production and more sustainable business.
Thank you. Any other questions? How do you wish to proceed? I'm sorry, I lost track of that. Roll call, please.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries.
Okay, so this next one is LU-0054-25, which is Desiree and Samuel Arnson. They're requesting a variance from the Williams County subdivision regulations. This is located with sublot 1, the north half of the southwest, southeast southwest, northwest southeast, and southwest southeast, all located within section 27, township 157 north, range 103 west, which is Strandall Township. The township did recommend approval on the minor subdivision when their comment packet was solicited this last spring. However, we've not heard back about this variance. The variance is from the Williams County subdivision regulations regarding the definition of the word parcel. Within our regulations, subdivision is defined as the division of a lot, tract, or parcel of land creating 5 or less lots, tracts, or parcels of land for the purpose, whether immediate or future, of sale or of building development, and which will include the creation of any part of one road easement with a recommended 1,000 feet in length, public easements, or other rights of way, whether public or private, for access to or from such lots, and the creation of new or enlarged parks, playgrounds, plazas, or open spaces, providing compliance within this ordinance, Williams County road standards, as well as other applicable statutes, laws, codes, rules, and regulations. The word parcel itself is then defined as land that is contiguous, has a common owner, and/or has a single parcel ID number. The applicants are currently going through the minor subdivision process to add land to their current parcel, which is known as sublot 1. As per the regulations, based off of that definition, the entirety of the parcel containing the north half of the southwest, southeast southwest, and northwest southeast would need to be included in the plat, as it falls within one single parcel ID number. The applicants are requesting to only plat the northwest southeast, as this is the only portion of that parcel ID that will be affected. Access to the subject property is through a private access easement taken off of 152nd Avenue Northwest. The minor subdivision for this property is currently going through the review process, and the lots will be known as MS 25-0006 and MS 25-0007.
Thank you. Questions for Michelle?
What was that about?
Okay.
We're going to get to that in just a minute. I'm going to explain it to you. Just a second.
Okay, so if you want to just click on the main parcel, that it's like a T shape. Nope, you don't have to do that. Just click in, like, not the yellow one, click outside the yellow. Not on the green dot either. Like, do you see the 27? Go click by the 27. Perfect. So do you see, okay, you can see clearly there that this particular parcel ID number is shaped like a T. With the way the current standard or the current definition of the parcel, they would have to include that entire T portion with their subdivision that they're trying to, their minor subdivision that they're trying to do currently. The Arnsons currently own, if you close that little, the white box, the Arnsons own that yellow square, which is sublot 1. And they're looking to work with the Hoffs, and it would come down along the tillable land and kind of come down, and just all of the non-tillable land would then be put into their sublot 1, but would be renamed. So they don't want to include all of that extra land. That adds on extra costs for surveyors. It adds on extra costs for title opinions, things like that. So they're just requesting a variance to just do the portion that directly affects this minor subdivision.
Sam lives on that yard, in that yard. Okay. Any other questions for Michelle before I open the public hearing? Open the hearing. Is there any comments? Any comments? Please state your name for the record when you get to the microphone.
My name is Desiree Arnson. I am one of the owners of Sublot 1. I just want to reiterate that I understand the definition of parcel and subdivision, and I understand that it would more apply to what has been presented earlier today with creating subdivisions. But with us just literally buying the rest of our farmstead, I don't see how this applies or is required. So we're asking for the variance so that we just are required to plot the land that we are trying to purchase instead of the whole rest of, or the T of the rest of the field that is being farmed.
Okay, thank you. Questions for Desiree?
So there's two owners to this, and you're trying to separate it out, is that correct?
Correct. So we own the yellow piece there, and we're buying the rest of the farmstead and then the little pasture south of the house. I don't know if you can see the fence line there. It's a little darker. It'll follow like a little S and then around. And so it'll be the rest of the farmstead. And then the field will remain part of that parcel.
They're just making that a little bigger.
Yeah, basically just dividing off the tillable from the non-tillable, really. I mean, it's fairly.
Yeah, because you
Right,
can see here, that's the tillable. They don't want that. They're just gonna go around.
And it's certainly easy to understand why you'd like to own all of the farmyard, but if we called Sam up here, would he say the same thing?
Yes.
Sam, any comments you want to make? Thanks, Desiree.
Hello, my name's Sam Arnson, also the resident of the sublot. Sydney, no. We would just like to purchase the rest of the farmyard and make improvements, tree rows, buildings in the future. The goal long term though would probably be the sublot that we hope to get approved for would be added in the rest of the unit in future years, but that isn't doable right now, nor the landowners have agreed to that. So they just agreed to the rest of the yard so we can make improvements, and that's what we're trying to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Any questions for Sam? Thank you. Anybody else wish to comment? Ed, please.
Good evening, Ed Rintamaki. I'm currently employed by Interstate, but I'm representing my former company of 49th Latitude, and I started this project probably little over a year ago. Due to the discussion around the definition of a parcel, I disagree with the way the county has it written, the definition that's in your regulations. To describe each individual parcel defined as the parcel ID. And if you talk to your assessor, she'll say that that's only for taxing purposes. It's not a legal boundary. What constitutes the boundary or the limits of a parcel is what is described in the deed. I've had this discussion with staff here, and I'm hoping that we could make this change at some point in your regulations. And I'm fully supportive of what Sam and Desiree want to do, essentially to expand, like is already mentioned, encompass some more non-tillable ground to their sublot.
Any questions for Ed? Thanks, Ed. Anybody else? Third and final time. I'll close the hearing. Commissioners, what are your wishes?
I'd make a motion to approve following staff comments.
Thank you in a second. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries.
Okay, so next one we have is LU-0055-25. Ed Rintamaki on behalf of Stephen and Tammy Muller are requesting a zone change to urban residential for proposed approximately 3-acre lot. This is located in the northwest of Section 13, Township 159 North, 103 West, which is Granora Township. On this one, we have not received comment back from Granora Township either. The applicant is requesting a minor subdivision, which will create 2 lots. Parent parcel is approximately 160 acres and within the agricultural zoning district. The newly created lots will be approximately 3.04 acres and approximately 156.32 acres. The larger lot will remain in the agricultural zoning district, while the applicant is requesting a zone change to the urban residential zoning district for the 3.04 acre lot. The purpose of this minor subdivision is to separate the tillable land from the non-tillable portion that contains the outbuildings. Access to the subject property is taken off of 82nd Street Northwest and County Road 5. Minor subdivision is currently going through the review process, and the lots for this will be known as MS 25-0034 and MS 25-0035. Recordation of the plat will be contingent on the approval of the zone change.
Any questions for Michelle? Hearing none, I will open the public hearing. Any comments on this one? Ed, do you want to add anything to this one?
Ed Rentmacky on behalf of Interstate Engineering this time around. We're basically, like Michelle said, we're surveying out roughly a 3-acre tract of land. One of the field boys, Robert's son, is wanting to purchase that to build a home. And of course, the property is owned by the Mullers, so that's why just a little clarification there that, and I'm not sure if they're in the audience or not, but see, essentially that's what the surveying out, that non-tillable ground to build a single-family home.
Thank you, Ed. Questions for Ed? It is a beautiful yard. Any other comments? Third and final time. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. Turn it over to the board.
Make a motion to approve with staff comment.
And a second.
I'll second.
James has a second. Thank you. Further discussion, questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Brett,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries. Now, the one we've been waiting for, the last one.
I thought the last one was the last one at first. So this one is LU-0057-25. Ed Rintamaki on behalf of Robert Field is requesting a variance for a newly proposed lot to remain in the agricultural zoning district. This is located in MS 21-0034, Government Lot 2, which is the northwest northeast, Government Lot 3, which is the southwest northeast, Government Lot 4, northwest southeast, and then the northeast southeast of Section 3, Township 156 North, Range 104 West. This is Bull Butte Township. I did talk with someone from Bull Butte Township. They did have questions on it, but I have not received any official comment back from the township on this. So the applicant is requesting a minor subdivision, which will create 3 lots in total. The parent properties are approximately 263.82 acres and all within the agricultural zoning district currently. The newly created lots will be 98.85 acres, 147.03 acres, and 17.94 acres. The two larger lots will remain in the agricultural zoning district, while the applicant is requesting the variance for the proposed 17.94 acre lot to also remain in the agricultural zoning district. The purpose of this minor subdivision is to adjust the lot lines of the tillable land based on the natural lines of the existing tree rows. And I will note that that 17.94 acre parcel is a tree row, pretty much. Access to the newly created lots is taken off of 66th Street Northwest. The minor subdivision is going through the review process with the lots to be known as MS 25-0036, 0037, 0038. Recordation of the plat will be contingent on the approval of the variance.
Questions for Michelle?
They're not requesting a zone change on this?
No, they'd rather, since it's just a tree row, it's an unbuildable lot, because it's right by Montana, so you can't expand into their jurisdiction. So it's just a tree row, so they would just like it to remain an egg because nothing else can really be done with it.
Why don't they just include it into a parcel instead of making a tree row its own parcel?
Ed
How
may.
about we
Ed may
call that
know
up here and he
the
can
answer
explain it
that.
to us?
I'm not sure.
Michelle, I'm going to open the public hearing and we'll have Ed speak.
So Ed Rintamaki again, Interstate Engineering. Maybe I need some some water here too, or maybe this meeting's been a little too long. The 17 acres, just as a clarification, there is a tree row on the east side of that, and it's Bob Fields hayfield on the west side to the state line, and he wants to retain that for hay for his own use. The parcel around the house going up to the north and then using a tree line on the west side of that, I guess that dark line is kind of about where the tree line is. That's the, I understand the Fields' original homestead, or way back in time anyways, it became the Fields. And Bob wants to retain ownership of that. So the south boundary of that parcel will be basically just on the north side of that pond or small lake there. Then the remainder of that, the tillable ground and the pasture land, he's selling to one of his boys for farming operations. There's no planned building that I'm aware of for housing or residential or anything. It's strictly keeping the home site in his name. The little strip that he cuts hay on, he wants to keep that in his name, and then the rest is going to his son, so.
Thank you, Ed. Jimmy Horb's here for Bellevue Township. Jim, you got any comments?
Jim Horb, and I guess the township really didn't know what was going on, but now we have an idea and we're undecided on it, but sounds like it's just change of ownership on some of it. They're replatting it or something, so I don't know. I'd be in favor of it, I guess.
Jim, wasn't there a dance hall on the high point of that lake up there one time?
No, I don't remember that. The Speets lived just above that.
Yeah, your mom was from up there.
There's a dance hall further north. Used to be. Yeah. That I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that.
Are you old enough to vote?
Yeah. I am. But yeah.
Jimmy, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak to this issue? Third and final time. Close the public hearing, turn it over to the board.
Motion to approve staff comments.
Thank you. And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries. Is there any other business to attain to take care of tonight?
Yes, we have a discussion item. We do have to do reorganization of the Planning and Zoning Commission since we do not have an active chairman. The city of Williston did appoint Tori to be our member from their city commission to be our extra 9th person. She is not able to be here tonight. The Board of County Commission did also take that into consideration. They did approve her being appointed to this board, so she will be our 9th person. But we do need to reorganize the Planning and Zoning Commission, so we have a chairman, and if needed, a new vice chairman too. So
Okay. Commissioners, what are your wishes? How do you wish to proceed?
I would nominate Dan Kalile for chairman.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any other nominations?
Move that nomination cease and we cast a unanimous ballot.
Would that be sufficient for our law council? Or do we need a roll call vote?
I think roll call so we don't get in trouble.
Everybody ready? Roll call, please.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle, Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries. Then the second item would be a vice chair.
Correct.
How do you wish to proceed? I would nominate the lovely lady to my right. Further discussion?
And cease nominations and do roll call vote.
Roll call, please.
Barry,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sherelle,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes, motion carries.
Just a quick question for Michelle.
Yeah.
Going back to the subdivisions now. So the fella said him and his partner wanted to each build a house. So if they each had, if they took a 40 and split it into 220s, they could each build on that without coming through to us again now?
Well, so the way their lots, the property that Ben owns up there, if Ben and Andrew did want to work out an agreement, they wouldn't even have to split it. They could just, because they are both over 40 acres, they could just build 2 houses.
If they took a 40 and split it into 220s, then they'd have to come back?
Yep, so if it's a 40-acre parcel being split into 220s, they would have to come back because it'd have to go through a zone change or at least a variance to remain an egg if that were the case.
But then if Mr. Roslin just wanted to build, he could do like the Gunlickson and just build. 'cause
Correct.
He owns that whole parcel.
Correct.
Okay.
One other comment I wanted to make about not tonight's meeting, but when we went through this process a long time ago, the cooperation of the landowners up there, you just can't describe how phenomenal that was. There was actually a committee that went from, and Mark was up there at that time, that went from lot to lot with a handful of stakes. And the question would always be, okay, where do you mow and where does your neighbor mow? And that would be the line. And we went all around the dam and never had any major controversy at all.
To answer Sherrill's question, we had 132 lots with 3 discrepancies. And our group took care of them and took it to the commission. I don't think they even had it. On the other hand, we started out with 132 lots, and one of the, I'm not gonna say demand, but one of the requests that they made to us is if you could buy your neighbor out. Everything up there was 40 and 50-foot lots, do whatever you could. So out of them 132, I'm gonna guess we're down to 115 maybe. Because there's a lot of us that got 3 lots, 4 lots, 5 lots, 2 lots. So it's not the old original 132. I'm just gonna guess we're down to 115, 20, somewhere in there. So it is working out better. If you haven't been up there, I mean, it's fabulous. I mean, there's,
And in that era, because people didn't own their lots, nobody could borrow money to build anything up. So what we had was deplorable, it doesn't even describe it. It was just a mess, and people would just dump their garbage in their lots and just use it for a junkyard. And it was skunks and
they had the
badgers and
old El
rats.
Rancho
and-
Motel out there. Yeah, back in the day. I mean, they just plopped it there and didn't do anything with it. It was just a junkyard.
Mark, does the association, do they have any covenants towards anything that the residents can or cannot do on their lots as far as, I mean, when we talk about RVs and everybody's, dead set against the public, utilizing it, from what I guess, we gathered on the conversation here there, and I don't know if the word dead set against it, but when people want to come and recreate there on a body of water that is a public access place, I once lived out of Long Creek there, and my boat, was at Lewis and Clark there in a slip, and it was a very popular place there. I mean, I shared the same agreements as you guys there because it was tough getting in and out of there, and with that being said, though, all the landowners there that I can see, they'll allow 1, 2, 3 RVs at their houses there. So I guess I would encourage the development out there to kind of look into that because that's adding to your guys' stress out there. So when you guys go to the public, it kind of gives you guys a black eye look there. So in a way, and I have a lot of friends, and some family up there, and I grew up on the lake myself there, and I have a love for the water, and I have a passion for the public. I have a passion for private property also too, but it doesn't deem us to be able to, or landowners to look at the public there and say, you can or cannot utilize this. But then you go and you open up your property there, and now, we're overcrowding it ourselves. The same thing that we're telling you that we can't do. So as an association, and I wish I had the gumption to bring it up in front of everybody, but it's usually a very unpopular conversation to have there. But I guess I would advise there that, a stronger conversation is had within your guys' association to bring that up and say, hey, we should maybe kind of look at ourselves and limit that there.
And I couldn't have paid you enough to bring it up because we're split at that right now. We're a cabin site that's turning into a campground. And I mean, how do you tell your neighbor? I mean, there's restrictive
'Cause
covenants,
it's
but
free.
restrictive covenants only enforced by your neighbor, and it's tough to do.
But how do you tell that your daughter or your son-in-law or your sister that you can't bring their camper up for the 4th of July?
The difference is a one weekend or 52 weeks it sits there. And that's the problem.
And see, we had a small, very, very small, it was usually about 1 or 2 of us that ever show up to it with our association out at Long Creek. And it was, it was never followed, but it was kind of more and less, keep your neighbors at bay and keep your guests at bay, and it was tough. It was very tough. I mean, it turned into a lot of arguments, and I mean, it was all too real of a conversation here, there, and hit way too close to home.
I will say something, just to interject with the restrictive covenants, it's something a little unique with Blacktail is that anytime a deed gets recorded for ownership changing hands up in Blacktail, the recorder's office actually sends out a copy of the restrictive covenants with a little pink sheet that says Blacktail Dam Association has restrictive covenants. Please make sure that you're following these. I don't remember what the note says. It's been almost 3 years that I've had to since I've sent them out, but they do get sent out to everybody who owns it, who gets a new lot up there. Whether they read them or just throw them in their junk pile is another.
Any other comments? Michelle, I just want to bring one thing up. It frustrates me that we don't get the response from the townships.
Yeah, I truly try to reach back out to them this time with the holidays and time off. I did not reach out to all of them like I should have, but yeah, it's frustrating.
Would it be rude of us if we tabled things until we had those comments?
Some of those townships only meet a couple times a year.
The not getting a response from them is one thing, but when they go, well, we don't know, so we're gonna let you be the ref. It's like, well, I was on the township board, and you don't want to, jerk your neighbor's chain too hard, but that's part of it. That's like tonight now. I mean, I knew when I was walking in, well, not going to make a lot of friends tonight, but it's just my personal opinion, and that's this is how I see it. And
I think the township boards are just like restrictive covenants. You're not gonna tell your neighbor that his daughter can't put her trailer house on the lot, and so what are you gonna do? It's touchy.
Right. And I mean, you can table them absolutely if that's something that you guys do so wish to do. My only concern would be then, like, for instance, the Arnsons, they've been working on this project for over a year. Strandell Township commented, they approved the minor subdivision. And then now that this is coming back because of the variance with the subdivision regulations, they did not comment. So then you'd be holding them up even longer, and they just, I think, are at a point where they'd like to move on as well. So I feel, looking at each case, maybe, yeah, some of these bigger ones you could table, but I think it'd have to be a case-by-case situation.
Absolutely. Every case is different. And the Arnson one, for example, that's very simple. They'd like to own the rest of their farm dead.
But, waiting for the township or demanding the township respond is just going to be a hardship on the applicant, in my opinion.
Right. And they are just a recommendation. Not necessarily, you guys don't have to follow their recommendation. Board of County Commission doesn't have to follow your recommendations either. So, something to also take into consideration with it too.
And while we're talking, I still can't hardly believe that we're going to make a guy that owns his own place. And my kids had go-karts. I just took the lawnmower out there and just mowed it, like basically chase a butterfly around, and then they use that for the track. And I certainly would not have asked for permission. And if somebody told me I had to, no.
But did you have a neighbor living next to you that had to listen to the go-kart whine? That might make
no, but I lived about eighth of a mile away from Beaver Lodge. All them oil trucks you see on the road, they were headed down by my house. So yeah.
If I may just add, and I'll keep it brief because I know it's already late, but yeah, that one we struggled with. We received a complaint from a county commissioner, but the county commissioner received the complaint from the public when the gentleman came to us. It is quite a large track. If you've been out there, it's just west of the highway department. He said it's for his daughters. He said then maybe some friends. And then that's when we as staff have to determine, okay, if you're going to have other folks out there, you may be better off just getting a CUP. Well, I agree. Yeah. And that was a gray area for us too, but we did mention to him that, if you're going to have others, that's a safe bet. That way, if someone does call and complain, we can say, hey, they've got a CUP.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we struggled on that one too.
Well, I put Michelle on the spot this afternoon, asked her, so if the same people their kids are barrel racers, do you got to come in and get approval if you make a arena for barrel racing and the kids are out there?
Typically, if it's within the family, no, they wouldn't have.
Are
to.
you
If they
saying I
have
need
members
an
of the public,
approval for my arena?
public friends, then we would look into that further. But those can be tough. They're tough ones to weigh because we do try to balance. You know, there's some freedom to do what you want on your land at the same time when you have neighbors calling and it's a large track. So we did kind of tell the applicant we would recommend it just because if we get complaints, then we can always fall back on, hey, you were approved. So I think that's kind of the process that he had followed. But it's going to be an awesome track.
We're adjourned,
It's pretty
folks.
Large, so.